The fundamental insight driving all of this is that Alzheimer's appears to be, at least in part, a metabolic disease, a condition where the brain's energy systems fail. NAD+ sits at the center of this energy crisis. When NAD+ levels plummet, neurons cannot generate adequate ATP, cannot repair damage efficiently, cannot maintain synaptic connections, and eventually cannot survive. This energy failure creates a cascading breakdown that contributes to cognitive decline. This metabolic understanding changes how we think about prevention and treatment. Instead of focusing solely on removing protein plaques, which has largely failed in clinical trials, we can think about supporting the fundamental energy metabolism that keeps neurons healthy and functional. And diet is one of the most accessible, safest ways to influence brain metabolism. What does NAD+ supportive eating actually look like in practice? It's not exotic or complicated. It starts with ensuring adequate intake of NAD+ precursors, niacin from poultry, fish, nuts, and fortified grains, plus protein to supply tryptophan. It includes foods that protect NAD+ from excessive consumption, antioxidants from berries and vegetables, anti-inflammatory foods like fatty fish and olive oil. It emphasizes blood sugar stability through whole grains, fiber, and balanced meals. It supports mitochondrial function with healthy fats and B vitamins. It promotes gut health through fermented foods and fiber. In other words, it looks a lot like the Mediterranean diet and other eating patterns that have consistently been associated with better cognitive aging. This isn't coincidence. These patterns naturally support the metabolic processes that maintain brain energy, including NAD+ balance. The positive message is genuinely hopeful and empowering. You have agency over your metabolic health. The dietary choices you make every day affect your brain's energy systems, inflammation levels, oxidative stress, and long-term resilience. Starting earlier is better, but improving nutrition at any age offers some benefit. These are accessible interventions using ordinary foods, not expensive supplements or experimental treatments. There's also growing evidence that metabolic support might benefit not just prevention but also early intervention. When energy metabolism improves, neurons that are stressed but still alive might potentially stabilize or even recover some function. This suggests that dietary strategies remain worthwhile even after cognitive concerns begin, particularly in early stages. But now I need to balance this hope with clear-eyed realism and important warnings. First, diet alone is not a cure for Alzheimer's or a guarantee against developing it. Alzheimer's is a complex disease involving genetics, age, vascular health, inflammatory processes, protein pathology, and factors we don't yet fully understand. Diet is one important modifiable risk factor among many, not a complete solution. Second, by the time Alzheimer's is diagnosed as dementia, significant irreversible brain damage has already occurred. Neurons have died and cannot be resurrected through better nutrition. Dietary support at this stage is about potentially slowing progression and supporting quality of life, not reversing established disease. Expectations must be realistic. Third, food-based NAD+ support is fundamentally different from high-dose supplements, and this distinction matters enormously. Foods provide modest, regulated amounts of NAD+ precursors that work with the body's natural balance mechanisms. High-dose supplements can push NAD+ to unnaturally high levels with uncertain safety. Recent research has raised legitimate concerns about excessive NAD+, potentially promoting unwanted cell growth. Fourth, NAD+ support through diet needs to be part of a comprehensive approach to brain health. Exercise is probably more important than any specific food. Sleep quality matters enormously. Stress management affects brain metabolism. Social engagement supports cognitive resilience. Controlling vascular risk factors, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes is crucial. You can't out-eat a fundamentally brain-unhealthy lifestyle. We also must acknowledge that access to healthy food is not equal. Nutritional advice needs to be practical and realistic for people's actual life circumstances. Recommending expensive superfoods or complicated meal plans is meaningless if people lack the resources or time to implement them. Furthermore, individual variation means that dietary strategies won't work equally for everyone. Genetic differences affect NAD+ metabolism, nutrient absorption, and disease susceptibility. Some people will develop Alzheimer's despite optimal nutrition. Others will escape it despite poor diets. Population-level dietary advice provides probabilities, not guarantees. There's also the continuing need for medical research and drug development. Dietary strategies are valuable but insufficient for many people, especially those with advanced disease or high genetic risk. We need effective treatments, not just prevention strategies. Dietary research should complement, not replace, pharmacological and medical approaches. What's the final integrated message? Current Alzheimer's research teaches us that the brain is a metabolically demanding organ that needs consistent energy support to maintain function and resilience. NAD+ is central to this energy metabolism, and dietary patterns can meaningfully influence NAD+ balance through multiple mechanisms, providing precursors, reducing excessive consumption, supporting efficient utilization. Eating to support brain energy metabolism makes biological sense and has epidemiological support. Emphasize whole foods rich in niacin and protein, plenty of colorful vegetables and fruits for antioxidants, fatty fish and olive oil for healthy fats and anti-inflammatory effects, whole grains for steady blood sugar, fermented foods for gut health. Minimize processed foods, added sugars, and chronic inflammation triggers. This isn't a miracle cure or a guaranteed preventive, but it's a safe, sensible strategy that supports fundamental brain metabolic processes. It works best when started earlier, maintained consistently over decades, and integrated with other healthy behaviors. It offers hope without false promises, genuine potential to reduce risk and support cognitive resilience, within the limits of what diet can reasonably achieve. The brain, like every organ, needs proper fuel to function. Alzheimer's research is revealing just how crucial energy metabolism is for cognitive health and how dietary choices affect that metabolism. We're learning to feed the brain not just for general nutrition, but for the specific metabolic support that maintains energy balance, preserves NAD+, and enables neurons to survive, function, and potentially repair. That's a powerful insight that translates into practical, accessible actions anyone can take.